Hello and welcome to the final game week of the season. We are going to have to be picking out the best players for the final week. Nacho, are you ready?
Dude, I'm ready, but I feel a bit emotional. I feel like it's been such a long season with COVID, everything invested, obviously, and it just feels like an end of an era this season. It's been such a strange one, a bit emotional, but equally kind of ready to have a little bit of a break, really. But we need to finish strong. We need to finish strong. This has to be the best advice of the season for the people.
We do. It does feel weird. It has been a really, really tricky season. Obviously, the first proper year of the FPL fan show, and it's starting in the studio, ended up here, and we'll be going back to the studio for next season, and we've met some lovely people. We've done some good things. So let's just jump in. Let's just talk about who are the players and the teams to target for the final game week, because I think this is what everyone's wondering, isn't it? This is it. The final dash. It's been a really tough season. Who do you think, firstly, are the teams we should be looking at for this final week?
Yeah, so I think really looking at the teams to target right now, I think a lot of people are eyeing up. And I think the two on top of my head right now is going to be Liverpool and Leeds. So I think the reason being for Liverpool is because they're one of the three or four teams that really have something really to play for, and that is of course European football. Who would have thought probably about 2 months ago that they were actually getting Champions League football, but they've strung together, I believe, 9 games unbeaten, won seven of them. And they are one of the teams that clearly have something to play for and individually have something to play for in Mo Salah. So Liverpool, first and foremost, are one of the teams that I'm definitely targeting. And the second one's going to be Leeds. And instead of actually having something to play for, it's more in terms of the fixture, really. They have such a great fixture. And of course, fans being back at the stadium at Ellen Road, I think that's going to be such a big factor in this game. So those are the two teams I think everybody should be looking at least a double up.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, mate. I think those probably are the teams. Maybe like a Newcastle as well. They've done quite well recently. But let's dive in and start looking at some players from all these different teams. So I think Liverpool, firstly. I mean, Mo Salah is just an absolute must, isn't he? I think going for the Golden Boot, the form he's in, Liverpool having to try and get Europe and solidify that. In my eyes, he's probably the best captain this week. So I think he's an absolute must. I think everyone knows that. When you look outside of that, who else are you looking at? Obviously, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold looks really good. Obviously, Diego Yota is out for the season now, isn't he? So, yeah, who would you be looking at?
Yeah, I think it's quite an interesting thing. I think the Yota injury, because quite a lot of people in the Twitter community played their wild card around the 31, 33 sort of period. So a lot of people owned Yota and now selling him due to the injury. I think a lot of people probably, let us know in the chat, guys, obviously, if you're in this situation, have two Liverpool players and they have the option of actually going into a third. And I think this is certainly a game week that you need to be doing that right now. So I think a lot of people might have a combination of Salah and Trent or Salah and Nate Phillips. So the decision right now is, do you go for a second defender or do you go for a second midfielder if you have the luxury of the money available? So I think the two assets we really talk about is Manny and Robertson. I think a lot of people are kind of got a bit of a shootout right now between those two players and which one to go for. And I think defensively, of course, Robertson got the two assists, I believe, in game week 37. So naturally, he's really got the headlines right now. But I really do like Mane. I think if you're in a position right now in your mini league where you're looking for a real differential, I think he could be the guy to go for sure.
Yeah, I really do like Sadio Mane. I mean, he's had an underwhelming season this year, hasn't he? I mean, he's been arguably up there with Salah, isn't he, for the last few years. I really like him. He's fantastic. He has dropped off this year a lot, but I have seen a difference in the last couple of games. He looks slightly back to his further self, doesn't he? I think he's getting in the box a bit more, he's shooting a bit more. I really like
Well, yeah,
Mane for this game. I think I had this situation a few years ago. I brought Mane in at the end of last season, the year before, and he did really well. So I think he's a great option. And obviously, Robertson's a great value pick, isn't he? You've always got that assist potential. You've got the clean sheet potential. Although I say that, but Crystal Palace have been looking quite good, haven't they? I mean, ish. Wow. I mean, yeah, Roy Hodgson's final game. Benteke's been looking good. So will they get a clean sheet? Difficult. But I think they're two good options. Anything else you can add to that?
Yeah, I think Mane really. I was looking at Mane really recently because I wasn't sure whether it was just kind of like recent returns over the last couple of game weeks where we're kind of naturally getting drawn to him, thinking, okay, is he back to his best? So just got a bit here. So over his last 7 league starts, he's accumulated a non-pen XG plus XA of 6.51. So he's actually posting really good stats. It's not kind of like a one-off occasion in one or two fixtures. And non-pen XG wise, he's only behind Salah in the midfielders really. So, I believe it's like 4.5 XG. So I'm actually seeing the stats now, which actually suggesting that he's actually delivering as opposed to just like a one or two game kind of fling. So definitely seeing enough Manny. The only issue is you need to actually be able to go into him really, and it's who you sell to get into him. I think Robertson's probably quite a attainable asset really. If you have the likes of Digne's or stuff like that, you can probably have the money in the bank to go into him.
Yeah.
I think Benteke will cause some problems with the Liverpool defenders. Obviously, the two centre-backs, inexperience. Obviously, Benteke is a handful. But I just think with the fans back in the stadium, I think Liverpool will be going all out, obviously, to win this game. I think there'll be a clean sheet on the cards. And I think both Robertson and Manny are excellent picks.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, it's a similar situation for myself. I kind of have two Liverpool assets. A lot of people do. I've got Son, so I just haven't got quite enough to go up to Mane. But I could do like a Diaz to a Robertson, and he's kind of a safe move, isn't it? But sometimes that's what you've got to do. So, but I don't know, I've got lots of ideas. We'll come on to our teams later. Okay, so that's Liverpool. So Leeds United, I mean, they're really hitting form, aren't they, these last few games? I mean, I've been really surprised. There's been no drop-off whatsoever. I know I said earlier in the season, I thought there was a little bit of a drop-off for a period, but fair play to them. They've been excellent for 4 or 5 games at least. And one player that's really surprised me is Rodrigo is looking a real player now, isn't he? I mean, a lot of expectations when he first came to the league. They paid a lot of money for him. I think he's taken a bit of time to adapt. But, the game before last, I thought he took his 2 goals so well when he came on. He looks a good player. So what's your thoughts on him, firstly?
Yeah, he's a guy that probably hasn't been in any of the conversations across the entire season, really, as you mentioned. Really struggled to kind of break into this side. Such expectation prior, as you mentioned previously, at older clubs. So it's a real strange one to be talking about him right now in game week 38, but I think it's definitely a valid conversation because people are looking at differentials. So a lot of people probably have a double up of Leeds, and I think the usual suspects have been on the cards the whole season. It's been the Dallas, Bamford and Rafinha combination. But it's funny how Harrison as well is probably outperforming Rafinha by a fair bit, but has hardly been any of our thoughts, I know for sure, on the show. He's been hardly spoken about because I think the flair of Rafinha has kind of been taking over that kind of assumption. But Rodrigo, if you're looking for a differential for this one last game week and you have the opportunity to go into a Leeds asset, I think he's definitely the one to go for. I think there's a lot of talk saying he's going to be starting, just the way Leeds are setting up recently. I think he's going to be starting that fixture. And if you're looking for a differential, I think he's a great pick if, the likes of Rafinha and Harrison are heavily owned in your mini leagues.
You're right, mate. I just thought we'd say just a quick evening to everyone in the chat. I see lots of lovely comments coming in. Thank you guys for joining for the last stream. We'd love to have you on board. And we're going to ask your questions and we're going to laugh at your comments along the way, I'm sure. But yeah, I think there's some really good Leeds assets. And obviously, what are your thoughts on Paddy Banford then? Because obviously with a good fixture, him at the top, it's a good option, isn't he? He hasn't lit up the last few weeks, and you're never going to get massive hauls, but he looks a good option, right?
Bamford over the last couple of weeks has been the most typical FPL asset in the world. So everybody was like, oh, why have I got Bamford? All that sort of stuff. And then literally, typical, goes and scores last game week, assists, and now everybody wants to bring him in. So it's just the absolute classic FPL scenario right now. But yeah, I think he's definitely a great pick for this game week. I think his minutes are going to be there. The only issue with him, he's such an up and down player. So over the last 10 league games, 4 of them, he's had a non-pen XG of 0.85, but then 6 of them have been below 0.1. So he literally is either completely involved or non-existent. And that's what happened in game week 37, obviously. I think he's definitely one that you need to be bringing in, but probably a bit more of a coverage move as opposed to a differential like you can get with Rodrigo.
Nice start there, Nacho. Well done. Done your homework.
I've saved them all for this one game week, so you guys can appreciate it.
We'll love it. So, lovely comments coming in the chat, and a very, very special thank you to the FPL Fanshow's #1 supporter this year, Victor. Amazing super chat, and he said, aloha. He said, lots laughed when I transferred Kane out for Antonio and enough money to bring Manny in for Yota. Well, that worked out well. Manny captain and ready for game week 38. Captain Manny again.
Love it. Victor, you abroad or something? Aloha. I'm very jealous. You are. So I'm looking outside right now, and it is hammering.
Naturally, they'd never let you leave the West Country. The only way you're leaving the country is if you get like a Nacho Monreal passport and they think you're playing abroad. That's the only chance you've got, son. Don't get any ideas. But
I'll be looking like Waterboy on the tractor.
yeah, exactly. But no, thank you, Victor. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate the spot. And yeah, I think Manny.
Yeah.
I think Manny's a really great option this week. I still think I'd go Salah for captaincy if you've got it, just because it's so safe, isn't it? But he's a great captaincy option differential.
Yeah, I think naturally, just like Salah being a penalty taker, just kind of like sways it for me. Really, I think the stats are so similar. I think just naturally, a guy who has penalties is just kind of the obvious pick. But all your mini league going to Salah, you need to chase points. Then Mane's a good differential for sure.
All right, so just staying on Leeds, let's talk about the defensive options. And the first thing I'm going to say to you is, now I'm a Meslier owner. Now he missed out in the last game. And I believe Bielsa has come out and said that I think it's Casilla he started the last game, and I think he's going to start this game as well. So I've got no goalkeeper for the final game week. I've got Forster on the bench. Don't know if he's going to play. Don't really want to risk it. You know, and a lot of people do own Meslier. So what do you think about that situation, and what should we do?
Well, like, come on, if last game week, if you're doing a goalkeeper transfer, then I understand why, but how depressing is that, honestly? Because we all know goalkeeper transfers are one of the worst things you can do, and you kind of want a bit of fun on game week 38, don't you? So I really do empathise with those who have got to make that move, because I do think that you naturally are only going to have 10 players if you're in that situation, unless we get information about Fraser Forster playing. So I think that move is kind of unnecessary, really, which is such a shame. So really, who do you want to go into? I think it depends on the budget, obviously. If you only have 5 million or less, then really looking at the fixtures, you're probably going to be looking at the likes of maybe, God, I'm trying to think off the top of my head who we could actually bring in for you guys. I think Areola, Fulham, maybe.
Pope, maybe, but I think he's an injury issue. I mean, Cavino saying
Fabianski, but I believe he was out, wasn't he? So I think you just kind of suck it up, really. So you either ride out the news, and obviously hopefully we get Fraser Forster playing. Otherwise, you just go for the likes of maybe Areola, Fulham, and you just kind of accept that you might concede, but you're just at least getting points on the board. The only issue is if you're doing it for a -4 point hit, then that's where the difficulty lies a little bit.
I think a lot of people in the same situation got Gavino and AD saying they've got goalkeeper issues. I mean, it is so difficult. Yeah, I mean, if I do have a bit of money in the bank, we'll come on to the team again later. If you were going for a more expensive keeper, who would you looking at? I mean, options off the top of my head would be maybe like an Alisson, or a Mendy. I mean, what do you think? Who would you go for if you're going for a premium keeper? Maybe Dean Henderson.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, I would rule out Alisson just because I think the value in the defenders is so high. I think you're just going to be sat there with Alisson in goal. Unless, Christ, actually saying that, he might pop up for another last-minute winner, so I'll take that back.
I know, but I feel like I don't want to take a hit this week. It just seems it's so close. I might just have to make a goalkeeper transfer. And if I do and I don't have a third Liverpool player, that would make sense, right? I mean...
Yeah, I agree. Well, so I think Mendy is a solid move. I do think Chelsea are going to really just win that game comfortably. I know I'm being quite biased there, but I just think our underlying stats are so good under Tuchel. I know I think we conceded in the last few, but the actual expected goals against is still solid. Just like typical blunders like against Leicester, which shouldn't have happened really. But otherwise, Edison, solid pick. They've got a terrible team this week. I can't remember who they're playing.
That's very, very funny, Nacho, for you, mate. So I'm just going to turn Nacho off for everyone. He'll be going off the stream.
Otherwise, what I would say is Leno at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Now, I can't believe I'm suggesting that, but Morpay and now Welbeck, both injured. I know Brighton had a good result against Man City, but I think with those two injured, I just think they're going to be a little bit less, direct going forward. I think they play like Connolly, for example, but I just think Arsenal are really kind of going under the radar a little bit. A bit of form, 4 wins on the bounce. I just think they're probably a safe bet for clean sheet as well. And I know Brighton are probably a better team than them right now, but I fancy them to pick up a clean sheet.
Yeah, I mean, Phil saying Edison has been confirmed as playing the last game. It's not a bad option, but Everton are good away from home, and they're playing for Europe, so I do fancy them to score. I think I'd be looking at... Do you think Mendy will start there? Because we always have this problem with the Chelsea keepers,
Yeah, I think Mendy will start. Hopefully we'll get a bit more information, but I just think we're in a situation right now where it's an absolute must-win for Chelsea to guarantee top 4. and Mendes is go-to guy. And I do think he'll play him. I don't think he can afford to chop and change goalkeepers at such an important time.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come on to our teams in more detail later. But yeah, so I think Dallas, if you don't own Dallas, he's got to be a must for this week, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks very good. Yeah, I think you could go cheap with Alioski, for example, but I think if you could afford Dallas, you just go for Dallas really and cover yourself.
And I think both Rafinha and Harrison are great options for this week. So let's talk about other teams. So I quite like the look of. I mean, let's talk about Newcastle and Joe Willock because he's in goal scoring form. It's so straight. He's doing really, really well, isn't he? And he's got reasonable stats to support it as well. It's not a fluke. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Newcastle and Joe Willock?
Well, yeah, so I think a lot of people were in the same scenario when they had the Yota replacements. I think I was heavily promoting the likes of Rafinha, maybe even going to a Man City asset. I heard, obviously, they would talk about Willock, but my assumption was that he was a bit of a purple patch. It wasn't sustainable the way he's playing. And also the Newcastle side is, without Wilson, I felt like they were naturally not as attractive assets. And obviously scored in each of his last 6 fixtures, posted XG of 3.49. So it is suggesting that he is overperforming. But I think at this point of the season, when there's only 1 game week remaining, I think you just kind of take them sort of things out of the equation because it's a 1-week punt and he's clearly in form. That's the main thing, really. You're not looking at him for 5 more game weeks. So at his price bracket, he is unbelievable value right now. And of course, they have a fixture away at Fulham who have confirmed relegation. We don't really know where their heads are going to be at. So I do think he's a nice pick this game week. The only thing about him really is just kind of who are you selling to go into Willock? You might be in that situation psychologically where you're selling somebody at maybe 8 million down into him. You're sat there with 4 million in your bank and you kind of want to just spend that really, don't you? So somebody like Willock is quite a tough one to transfer into because psychologically you don't want to have so much money sat in your account because you're just a bit what I could have done with that, and it encourages a -4 hit. I find sometimes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is really. I think he's a really nice option if you got a free transfer and you want a kind of midfield punt. I think he's a nice option. He's got the form to support it. Okay, yeah. So I think Case in the chat says any Man City midfielders for the last game week. Now, it is an absolute nightmare, isn't it? Trying to pick a Man City midfielder. I mean, we had this conversation a few weeks ago. We kind of said Mahrez, Foden, and then neither played. I think if I was going for one, I probably would go Foden. I think he's probably a safest bet, but you just don't know with Man City. It's an absolute nightmare, isn't it? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I'd only be recommending people to go to Man City assets if you are just going absolutely gung-ho with differentials and you just want, but then obviously the assumption is that you could easily own an asset that doesn't even feature. Now, I would love to be promoting Kevin De Bruyne. I think if he is fit, there's definitely a chance we'll get minutes because he's been injured for obviously a tiny bit of period. Pep might want to get him some minutes in the legs, but if I said to you right now, you can either have an at-risk De Bruyne or a Mane, similar price. You're going Mane, really, aren't you, over those two because you've got guaranteed minutes there. So I find it quite hard to argue the case of Kevin De Bruyne, although I think he is a top pick if he was to feature. Outside of that, Sterling, you're not paying that much money for him. And then we drop into the obvious ones. You've got Torres, Mahrez, Foden, all these assets, Gundogan back in again. I just think, as you mentioned, Everton are actually decent away from home and defensively they actually do okay, don't they, really? And as you mentioned, they actually have some motivation. I would just be avoiding Man City assets. If I had to pick one, probably would be Mahrez or Foden. Probably just go Foden.
Yeah, I agree. Nice comments on Everton. Got some great comments in the chat tonight. It's kicking off left, right and centre. Nuclear Atoms are saying, it's been so long since I've seen Conor. I think I forgot his nickname. Was it FPL Princess? So I just, that's the block button. Just go with it. No, I'm joking. No.
Me and Nuclear Atoms had some very good chats recently actually on Twitter Spaces. So it's been going down well.
I can't believe people are making friends with Nacho. Can people not make friends with Nacho? I mean,
well, this is what I mean. While you're gallivanting about, I'm there helping people out outside of these kind of hours, building friendships, connections. You're just, you're on for an hour and you're done for a week.
That's it. For people who don't know, I make films in real life. I'm like a film director, so I'm off on the week. I'm saying, Nacho, just help everyone out, sort it out. I'll come back, turn up. You just got to do it. You're fine.
He's like a budget Steven Spielberg.
I'll take that. Shocking. Right. What do we do with Tottenham assets? Because they've got a really tough game against Leicester. I think Harry Kane is a keep. But if you own a player like Son, what are you thinking? Oh, it's all right, Nacho. You just drink while it comes to your moment, you know. It's a thing called timing,
Oh,
you know. I teach you
bloody
that as a
Volco,
film
I need it if I'm
director.
with you. It's bloody Volco, I need it with you.
That's good.
So basically, I think with Spurs assets, can I just say we're going on to our teams later. How have I ended up with Regulian? Okay, so for those who are new in here and obviously in the chat, basically about midway through the season, I pronounced Region as Regulian. Everyone laughed. Now I basically have got that kind of scar on me now, and we were all laughing and joking. I've somehow had him for the last 8 game weeks, and he has been absolutely woeful, scored no goal. I feel like sometimes you have a connection with a player, and he's just my guy. So if you see an account called FPL Regulian next year, that's me. Just a heads up, because I don't know how this happened.
Well, you can't
Sorry, I need
change.
to get that
You can't change from Nacho Monreal. I mean, you look like bloody Nacho. You can't go change it to Regulon. But yeah, I think he's a lot like you, mate. I mean, he can't pronounce many things. He's useless. He just that's you. Regulian is a lot like you. But anyway. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But yes.
I'm gonna have to bring out the Everton insults.
But Spurs, go on. Spurs assets.
Sorry
Tell
about
us.
that rant. I'm sorry about that rant. Yeah. So I think Spurs assets defensively, you sell. I think unless I'd probably say you sell if you can go into a better asset. Obviously, if you bench them, you bench them. But really, what I would say is, if you own Kane, I would hold. I think clearly stuff's going on. He might move him, but it's been very clear. What's been unclear about him moving, what's become very clear is that he is very much a target setter. So the golden boot is going to be a massive factor for him. So I think he's a good pick. And of course, with Evans, probably arguably one of their most experienced defenders being out, I think he could bully a few of the defenders there, maybe pin on to like Soyuncu, etc. Son's the real interesting one, really. So I would probably say to the people, who would you be selling Son to go into? So realistically, people who are more pricey than him is going to be obviously Mane. I'm going to assume a lot of people have Salah. And then really outside of that, Mane is the only one you're really going to, not going into Fernandes, of course. So otherwise, you're going down the value. I would probably just hold Son if you have him. I think Leicester might come on to Spurs, and that means that naturally on the counter-attack is going to open them up. So I think if you have Spurs assets, you just own them this game week and you just kind of accept it, unless you really want to go into someone like Mane and he's the cash cow to get you there.
I agree. Where do you think Kane will end up out of interest? Where do you think he'll move to?
Yeah, I think I can't see him going Chelsea, although like I would love him there. I just can't see him going Chelsea, although it's quite clear that he's a family man. London, obviously, really ideal. It just seems tailored for him to go to Man City. I don't know why. I just think they've got no forward right now. Aguero's gone. Jesus clearly isn't given, the confidence to be their main man. And he's talking about trophies. There's no better place for it. It's just whether Guardiola wants him and can afford him, I think.
I'm going to disagree. I think he'll go to Man United, but I have a very sneaky suspicion he's going to end up at Chelsea.
Really? Okay. Is that the contacts telling you that?
Don't know. Just an idea. We'll see. Might not happen.
Oh, 100% take him, honestly.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we've got so many attacking assets right now. Like, we need to ship out so many to bring him in.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Okay, so Man United assets, talk about then, Bruno Fernandes and Greenwood. For people that own those players, what are we thinking? Do we think either of them will start, or what do you think?
Yeah, this is the big one, really, isn't it? So I think a lot of people brought in Greenwood recently. Obviously, that was one of the Yota replacements as well, with the assumption that if anybody was going to be playing most of the fixtures from now until the end of the season, it was going to be Greenwood. And I think a lot of people are saying that their Europa League final team does not include Greenwood. I think a lot of people are saying it's going to be Pogba drifting off the left, Rashford on the right, Cavani down the middle, Greenwood as an impact sub. So you would make the assumption then that Greenwood is going to be starting this fixture. So I think you kick yourself if you did sell Greenwood. So I would say Greenwood's definitely a hold. Now, Fernandes is probably the one now. Solskjaer could probably put the team sheet up, put Fernandes on the bench, and he's just going to cross his name out and put himself centre mid. So I think there's definitely, I expect him to feature at some point. I think there's enough of a gap between Sunday and Wednesday for pros like this to, have enough time to rest. So I do think Fernandes will get minutes. What I would say to people is, if you are in a situation right now where you're worried about other assets in your team and you just really need guaranteed minutes in your side, then I think selling Fernandes isn't going to be your worst move. I don't think it'll be a worst move to make, because I can't see him featuring the whole 90 minutes. So if you're going to be moving him on to a Salah, to a Mane, who are guaranteed 90 minutes, I don't think that's a bad move this week.
I think if you own Bruno and you have a transfer, I think I would do Bruno to Mane this week.
I think that'd be a very popular transfer. And I think it would just guarantee people minutes where you just don't want to have that thing looming over your head where there's nothing to play for Man United. So the assumption is like, why would you play Fernandes? Just to get minutes under his belt, really. But, I just don't really see where the upside is. You either get Man United winning comfortably, everybody comes off then at that point, or you have a situation where it's tricky and then they're going to be like, why are we even risking our players in a tricky fixture? Just get them off, really. So I think either way, it's just going to be difficult.
Musa Diop asked a nice question. He says, who's been the biggest disappointment this season? And I would say the two...
Apart from Prince's presentations.
Well, to be fair, Nuclear Atom says, when is Nacho's next Twitter space going to happen? We're all on Nacho's side now. I'm sorry, Your Highness, but he's doing great work with the community. He's one of us now. Do you know what? I'll give Nacho his due. He put so much time and effort into the FPL fan show, and he's doing a fantastic job. But I will say, when we're back in the studio next season, I'll have to be slaving away. So
that's true. That is very
but
true.
No, he has done fantastic. I'll give him that. Nacho's done very well. You've done well, mate. Biggest disappointment this season, I would say it'd have to be Manny and Richarlison, because I think they've just had really, really poor seasons. But do you know what? I think there are two players that I'll be looking to start in my team next year because they are so good. If Richarlison gets class as a midfielder, he's 100% in my team. I don't think he will, but I think he'll come in at a good price. I think it'll be 6.57 million. I think he's a great option. And Mane, he's just had a bad year. He's class. I think he'll be great. So those are my two. Who would be yours?
If I had to go for two, I'm thinking off the top of my head, I would probably go Aubameyang. I think at the start of the season, everybody was talking about him as obviously just an unbelievable asset to him. He was in so many game week 1 sides. I know he's had a bit of injury. I think he had malaria at some point. So clearly there's been a lot of disruption in the season. But we just kind of always assume Aubameyang with really great underlying stats and output. And he just really hasn't had it this season. So I think Aubameyang is probably one of the most disappointing ones I've had this season. Totally agree with Mane for sure. Otherwise, I think the Chelsea assets, I think Ziyech in particular coming to mind. I think there was a lot of expectation with him there. I know a lot of people, by the way, guys, please fire away in the chat. Who is your two biggest disappointments?
And don't say us,
but I think,
because everyone will.
Don't say us. Please don't say us. Come on, we have feelings too. But I think a lot of people say Werner, for example, but I don't think he's been as horrific as he's been. I think Ziyech would be my biggest disappointment from the Chelsea assets, just because I don't think he's at the youthfulness of Havertz, where you can kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. I think there was definitely higher expectations with him, and he just hasn't really delivered.
This always had. Do you remember at the start of the season though, when we were saying, and we spoke about players coming from the Dutch league, they always struggle. So I thought that might happen. There's some really good ones in here. I mean, a lot of people saying Aubameyang, Gavino saying Sterling. I agree with that. Conor Maloney saying Richarlison thrives off fans, and as soon as they're back, they score and Everton win. That's definitely a big factor. Sterling, AD, Michael, Werner, Rhea Dummelo says Callum.
Oh wow, yeah, relative insult there.
So good, I love that. Is that your sister? Oh, that's amazing. That's fantastic. Oh, this is great. Welcome, Callum's sister. Well, can we have her on, because she's been much better than you are.
I'm not going to comment.
Oh, this is great. I've been waiting for this. This is the best thing. On the final stream of the season, we've got Nacho's sister in. Oh, this is everything I've wanted and more. And she's saying hello. Oh, that's lovely. That's great. Nacho's quitting everyone, I think. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm done.
No, good. Okay. But yeah, some really, really good options there. Is there any players you'll be looking at, starting in your team for next season? I quite like Mount.
Yeah, Mount's just been one of those guys who's Mr. Consistent, really, hasn't he? He's not going to get you like hat tricks every week, but he's just, for his price range, I'm not sure what he's going to come in at, but I think the problem with Mount is there's so many more like sexier assets in terms of like Havertz, Werners, and all. You kind of just get always pulled by them.
Can I just say, Nacho, you're definitely getting sacked because your sister just says she also has great banter. Do you mind if we replace? Is that all right? I mean,
I'm done.
I'm enjoying this so much.
That is done. Honestly, Christ, the insults. I need to cancel quick.
But yeah, not Matt was saying.
I'm trying to think. I'm going to throw it back. I'm going to let's put Jimenez in.
Jimenez is a good shout. Obviously,
I think he's going to be one of those completely forgotten about. We're going to forget how good he is, and we're going to see a rejuvenated Wolves side.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. All right, mate. Well, shall we have a look at our teams and what our plans are going into the next game week?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So this is me. So I've only got one free transfer. Now, yeah, I mean, Meslier is the big issue for me, isn't he? It's just that thing that was, like you said, making a goalkeeper transfer at this part of the season. Oh, it's not what you want, is it? But I feel like I have to do it, you know? I mean, the rest of my team it's all right. There's no... I mean, Greenwood might not start, but I've got reasonable bench options. Oh, have you got your phone near the stream, Nacho? It just went mental.
Has it gone bad? Is that better?
There we go. Chuck it away. There we
Chuck
go.
it away. Come on.
But yeah, I think Meslier is the problem. I've got 1.7 million in the bank. What do you think? What would you do? Do you think with my team?
Yeah, I think you're obviously your issue, right? You're going to be completely dependent on the news press conferences if Forster is going to be getting any minutes. I think that's going to be a real big one for you, just because I think you just take the hit, really, wouldn't you? In terms of if Forster's playing, although he's not got the greatest fixture, you would just play him, get the 2 points or whatever, and kind of crack on, really. I agree, though. You're in a situation right now, you don't want to be fielding 10 players at the end of the season. So I think I would be looking to move Meslier, if the news isn't good for you, onto an asset. And how much do you think on the bank?
1.7 million, I believe.
Okay, so you couldn't go into Allison, could you?
Yeah, I think I could.
You could go in. Okay, so yeah, like we said, I wouldn't be necessarily recommending that. But if you have one more Liverpool spot available, I think that is a solid move, just to get yourself double Liverpool defence. Because I do think that is a solid move this week. I just think they're just gonna blow Crystal Palace away. Really, it's just such a shame that you got to waste that transfer on a goalkeeper. But I think it's quite necessary in your team. Who in your team are you, outside the goalkeepers, do you think you should be moving on, or do you feel like comfortable making the goalkeeper move?
Look, if I was going to take a hit this week, I could do Meslier to the other Leeds goalkeeper, Casilla, who we believe is playing 4.1 million, and then I could do Son to Mane, which is nice, but it feels so wrong taking a hit. Like, it's just, everything is so tight. Me and my mini league rival were on the same points, so
Oh really?
Yeah, I can't lose anything.
What's that, for last place? Or?
Very good, Nat. Look, your sister is looking even better for this role by the minute, so you just keep it going, Nacho. I think, but I just don't want to take a hit. I think I've got to do the goalkeeper transfer. If I was going to do another move, it would probably be Diaz to Robertson, which I quite
I think that's solid.
I quite like that, but I feel like I've just got to have a playing goalkeeper, as boring as it is.
Yeah, it's such a shame, but I just think that's probably your move. And then, of course, if you feel like a -4 is worth it, then do it. But I think your team's solid this week.
Yeah. All right, should we have a look at your team, Nacho? Let's see where you're at. Go on.
Just how did you get on last week? Where you sat, for people to know, just so we can banter you if you do terrible this week.
Okay. I didn't have a great week. I think you got like 43, 44, and I'm down to about 60k. Which is not quite where I wanted to be. So I was aiming for, say, top 30k, and I think if I get top 50k right now, I'll be lucky. I'll take that.
Okay.
But it's so many people playing the game now. It's difficult. I think if I get around 50k, that's still a good season. You know. I'll take that. Yeah. But yeah, go on, Nacho. Do you want to tell everyone how high up you are?
No. I was just going to say, for the people that are listening, we've kind of been reiterating this for the last few weeks. If you're sat at a rank anywhere in the top 100,000, like, do not be embarrassed by that, because a lot of people have been saying they have been like, that is a brilliant rank. All things considered, with obviously so much content available, people are becoming better managers. So just to put it out there, but not to rub salt in the wound in FPL Prince's season, but I'm currently sat at 8.2 thousand in the world, which is by far the best rank I've ever been. So it's looking okay right now. I picked up I think 57 points, so I had a decent game week-ish, but again, so much luck involved. Like, prior to probably about 20 minutes out from full time, I was sat at like awful points, and then Phillips' goal, and then the double West Ham. So things turn so quickly, don't they? So obviously, don't worry until the 90 minutes is up. That's all my own record. Don't get too stressed. But
you've done fantastic, mate. I think 8k. That's superb going. Credit to you. That's a really top finish. So yeah, no, well done, Nacho. We'll take that for the FPL fan show.
Put that in the bio. Yeah, hopefully it finishes strong. But Yeah, so my team, have we got my
Yeah.
team up? I think.
Let me change it. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. So current situation is 1 free transfer, and I have, I believe, 4.4 million in the
Let's
bank. So I am
ignore it, actually.
absolutely balling. Honestly, if I could invest that in crypto, I would be. Honestly, I'd be going straight in. But I'm not. This is obviously not financial advice. But
Nacho, no one is taking financial advice off you, mate. You can't even say Region. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to take financial advice off you. Don't worry about
that. I think we might make a coin, like FPL fan or something. We'll call it. Anyway, we digress. So I think right now, looking at my team, I think I have so many different avenues that I can go in, and I'm in a situation right now where I really don't want to be taking a points hit, but I have so many players that I could sell. So just to go through them, Region, literally, I'm happy to sling.
Sorry, can you say that name again, mate?
Region.
God, it only took him 3 months, and he's finally got there.
Region? I don't know now. I doubted myself. So no, some sort of Pokemon he sounds like, doesn't he? But looking at the starting 11 right now, this is what I'll be playing with. So he's a definite worry for me, and I think because I have 2 Liverpool assets, I feel like it'll be a waste for me not to go into another Liverpool asset. So potentially him or Digne into Robertson is one of the moves that I'm looking at right now. I'm really happy with the midfield. However, I have question marks with Fernandes, but this is my problem right now. I either do a Digne or Region into a Robertson, or I do a Fernandes into Mane, and the other decision is Calvert-Lewin. So got Vidra on the bench right now. I think Vidra will start because of the recent news with Ashley Barnes. I believe that he's been charged by the club for drink driving, so he won't be playing. So I think Vidra will get minutes. But I just don't trust Burnley. I just do not trust them at all. So I actually have got Calvert-Lewin playing him over him after seeing Everton's away form. I think they actually could nick a goal. And naturally, I think you want to have Calvert-Lewin if you do have that assumption. So I have so many different avenues I could go in. I could either do, basically, just sum it up, Robertson or Dallas as my defender, Mane as my midfielder, or I could bring in Bamford. Those are kind of my decisions right now. I think they're all brilliant assets. Obviously, what's your thoughts?
I think that's really tricky. Actually, there's so many good options there, isn't there? I don't mind. I don't mind playing Calvert-Lewin. I wouldn't mind playing Calvert-Lewin this week. I fancy Everton to score, and he has quite a good record against Man City, I believe, actually. So I think he's a decent option. I mean, Vidra could do well against Sheffield United, but can you start him? That's very difficult. I like the Robertson move. I'd be very tempted to do Fernandes to Mane, though. I think just go for it. In the position you're in, I think you should just go for it.
Yeah, I think my one worry is just the Leeds ownership is going to be so high this week. And I really do think, obviously, guys in the chat, please let me know what your moves would be if you were in my situation. As I mentioned, 4.4 million in the bank. Be really interested. I've already got Ryan saying DCL to Paddy Banford, which is a real consideration right now, because I do think Bamford's going to do well. But my only issue is I really do fancy Leeds to keep a clean sheet, and I feel like not owning Dallas is going to be a bit of a killer. I think he could have a bit of a haul. So I wouldn't rule out a points hit. I think I could easily do, for example, Fernandes to Mane, and then I could do Region or Digne to Dallas. That might actually be worth the -4 point hit as well, I think. So I wouldn't be ruling that one out. Let us know, guys, if you would do a points hit there.
And obviously we'll both be captain and Salah, so yeah, lots of decisions there, Nacho. I think I'm assuming you'll post that on social for everyone when you've made the decision. And but yeah, I think you've got some good options. I think I'd go Mane or Robertson, but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I think I would almost rather be in your situation where it's kind of
simple,
easy to think what you need to do, really. Yeah,
definitely. All right, well, it is the last stream of the season, and this is the FPL fan show. So it's only right, Nacho, that we answer and speak to everyone in the chat now and answer people's questions and read your comments and have a laugh, I think. So everyone, send in the questions that you want answered or any comments, fire away, and we will do our best to answer them all. All right, you ready, Nacho?
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, for those who have already put their questions in, please put them in again. I'm going to try and scroll up a little bit just to try and pick some out. But
and obviously we've got loads of people watching tonight. If you can like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Fantastic to have you guys on board, and thank you for all your support.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it, guys. Obviously, last game week is just great to provide a bit of information for you guys, and hopefully not ruin your season, of course, in the last game week. But let's have a look here. So we We got one from Bahawal, who, and again, I've butchered his name. I've been on Twitter Space with him a fair bit this week, and I just butcher his name every week, so I apologise again in advance for that.
Do you know what, Nacho? I've been filming at a school this week, and the kids are about 5 or 6. You would fit in so well. They honestly, they could teach you some really good things on pronunciations. I might put a word in for you if you want.
I don't want to ask why you were.
Oh, that is low. That's a low, low. Oh, outrageous.
I'm kidding. Right, let's get cracking. So I'll try and pick up some of the older ones, and then we'll sift through the newer ones. So, as I mentioned, first question was, who would you start out of Vidra, Zaha, and Digne, or would you take a hit to bring someone else in? So, just a reminder, Vidra is away at Sheffield United. Zaha has got, off the top of my head, he has got Liverpool away, obviously really tough fixture, and then of course Digne away at Man City. So what's your thoughts there, mate? I think Vidra's probably the pick.
I'd go Vidra. I think you play the fixture. You know who's going to start. Sheffield United not good. Go Vidra. All right.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout for sure.
Keep reading them out, Nacho. Let's do it. Let's fire away.
Yeah, let's keep going. So we got one from ajaxxj asking Gundogan replacements.
Ooh. Okay, so Gundogan replacements. I mean, Rafinha would be up there.
We mentioned Willock. I think Gundogan's that sort of price where you probably could go to Willock and not feel as bad about having so much money in the bank.
Yeah.
The thing is, Gundogan's is such a tough player to own because he can easily play in this fixture. But I think you almost just make the assumption he's not playing, go real gut. And if you do sell him, as we mentioned, Rafinha, excellent. I think Willock's a top pick as well. If you have a bit of money in the bank, of course, we'd recommend the Liverpool assets, but I don't think you've got that much money, I'm sure.
Jonathan asks Maddison in for Bale. Oh, I mean,
I know.
No, I don't think I would.
I haven't seen enough from Maddison at all.
And Bale, he could. It's his last game.
Yeah. No, I would keep Bale. I think Maddison. I haven't seen enough from Maddison to suggest, and he's been coming off early as well sometimes. So you're not even bringing in a player that's guaranteed 90 minutes. So I wouldn't take that risk.
Right, the questions are flying in, Nacho. So we're gonna have to rattle through these. All right. Okay. So holding to TEA from Rabin. Yes, definitely for me.
Holding to TEA.
Yeah. Right. One for you, Nacho. Michael asks best Chelsea midfield option.
Best Chelsea midfield option. I honestly could not tell you anyone outside of Mount that I know would definitely start. So I would have to say Mount and be boring there just because I just can't tell you if Pulisic is going to start or ZX. So I'm going to say Mason Mount just for guaranteed minutes.
I agree.
I'm lost in these comments now. I don't know where
there's so many. Right, we're going to fly through them. Okay. Connor Maloney asks, is the 3 back necessary for getting the most points, or does 4 or 5 back still work? Is that it depends who you've got, doesn't it? It depends what players you've got.
Yeah, I think defensively they're still great picks. We've mentioned about the double Liverpool defence. I think there's returns there. I think if you have an Arsenal like Tierney, definitely points there. So and Dallas. So I think there's definitely points to be made in the defence this week.
Aidan asks,
I think it just depends on your team.
That's right. Aidan asks, would you do Dubravka and Lowton for a -4 to replace Godfrey and Gaeta?
Lowton obviously has Sheffield United away.
I mean, I think there's a problem with Gaeta, isn't there? So maybe I would. Yeah, I probably would actually. I would do that.
Yeah, I would be tempted by that as well. Daniel's asked Cavani and Bale to Antonio or Bamford and Mane for a -4 hit. Looks good. Captain one of them, 2 or 2. So Cavani won't start because of the Europa League final. I think we can probably confirm that. I think moving him on to Antonio is a top pick. I think he's got a great fixture this week.
Yeah, I think I'd just do one. I think I'd just do Cavani to Antonio. I think if you can.
Yeah, I think that's solid.
Okay, TDM asks, who is the best keeper for this game week? I've already got 3 Leeds players and 3 Liverpool players. I think Mendy, if you don't own him, or maybe like even the Newcastle keeper.
As I mentioned, I think Leno is an underrated pick as well. I do think he's underrated just because of the injuries up front for Brighton. But I appreciate Arsenal aren't necessarily the most attractive defence.
Yeah, I like that shout.
We got one from Newcastle asked, should I transfer out DCL to get Iheanacho or take a punt on a mid-price midfielder defender? So probably a question for you, mate. Do you fancy DCL to get points this week or not?
It's really difficult on Calvert-Lewin. It's not the worst fixture for them. Like I said, Everton away are good. Calvert-Lewin, good record against City. I think if you've got other transfers, I'd maybe put them elsewhere.
Yeah, I do like Iheanacho. Just a heads up, I think he's actually quite a nice pick this week just because Spurs are so leaky defensively.
Musa Diop asks, how much will Foden cost next season? I think he'll just be a little bit more than this season. I could see like an 8 million. The problem with it is he's such a rotation risk. That's the issue. So he's not going to be that expensive because you just can't bank on him starting.
Yeah, I think that's a solid bit. I think it'd be around the Chelsea assets. You mentioned 8.5 sort of price bracket for sure.
I'll read some out.
Kevin's asked, a bit of a different one. What is the best part of being involved with FPL community since you joined?
Nice. That's a really nice question. The FPL community is amazing. I have to say, I think the best part for me is actually doing these streams and chatting to you guys and seeing the reaction, you guys interacting with us. Like, I love that. And me and Nacho actually met at an FPL meetup in Bristol a year or so ago, and it was fantastic. Like, the thing with FPL is everyone is always lovely. You never really meet, not very nice FPL manager. We met like Andy and Joe and all these big people, but then also, people you haven't really heard of before who are absolutely lovely as well. So that's my favourite part. What about you, Nacho?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think we were obviously doing videos before where they were kind of pre-recorded. We didn't really get the chance to properly engage with people, and like obviously doing this right now is probably the best part actually, just because it's been able to kind of really get involved with people and just get to know people better. And it's quite nice, obviously, in these times to have kind of like a connection with people when you can't meet face to face over the last year.
Yeah.
So definitely that, and I recommend anybody getting involved for sure.
We want you guys to let us know, because we're going to have to make a decision next year whether we just do pre-recorded videos or we try and do a live stream. So let us know, guys, what you want us to do. Okay, ADR, bench one of these. Son, Rafinha, Harrison, Iheanacho, Lingard. Oh, God, that's hard.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Okay, so I would probably... I hate benching premium assets, so I would struggle to bench Son. But I appreciate that he has probably got the worst fixture of the lot. I would probably bench Lingard.
Yeah, I agree. I've
But maybe Iheanacho.
Yeah, I think Lingard or Iheanacho for me.
Yeah, because you got Antonio. Yeah, that's all. Stevens asked, thoughts on bringing in Aubameyang? He scored a brace twice on the last game of the season. Really like Aubameyang. I think we haven't really spoke about him, but I just think same price, quite similar as Mane, and I just think Mane I would much prefer. I do think that Aubameyang has the potential to do well, but
the Brighton defense is very good as well, and it always gets overlooked. Statistically, they're really good. They don't concede many goals from open play, I believe, and they're fantastic. So they're going to be. I wouldn't do it. I think there's better options.
Yeah, I totally agree. We got one from Rabin that asks, Azpilicueta versus Dallas, who would you play? Dallas,
definitely.
100% Dallas.
Ali asks, Cancelo to TAA or Fernandes to Salah? It's got to be. It depends. If you've got other players that can play instead of Cancelo, then do Fernandes to Salah, definitely, because he's the best captain.
Yeah.
I think, but if you haven't got a team for this week, then Cancelo to TAA.
Yeah, I think that's right. Victor's asked, start Shaw or Digne.
Oh, our main man, Victor.
That's even harder because we've got guaranteed minutes for Digne, but no clean sheet expectation. Shaw could easily get a rest because we know he's a fat pig and doesn't always recover, does he?
That's harsh. It's true. I think I'd start Shaw because I don't think he'll come on if he is benched. I think I'd go Shaw.
Yeah, that's a good point. I can't see him. He'd either start and play the whole thing or not at all. Yeah, that's a good point.
Your mate Bahawal asked, cheers lads, also Dallas or Robertson or both for a hit? Dallas. Just go Dallas.
Yeah, I'd probably be Dallas, especially if we already have a Liverpool defender. I think gets some Leeds coverage. Connor's asked, which assets should we look at from newly promoted teams? See, I don't know about you, Connor. I'm speaking to FPL Prince here, not Connor from the chat. I was a bit of a mind, but I can't lie. Not been hugely engaged with the Championship. I kind of do that over the pre-season based on the teams that have been promoted. I think we all know Ismail Sarr is obviously like a top baller. He'd probably be one of the top picks. And Buendia's, I believe, got voted like one of the players in the season, obviously. But I can't say I've been massively engaged. I apologise. We'll definitely do videos, just heads up, pre-season.
I think Pookie, obviously, is a good option. I think Max Aarons will probably get moved to a top club, so he's one to look out for. If Brentford get promoted, Tony, he won't stay at Brentford, but otherwise he's going to go to a top club. He's a really nice option. Okay, so what else we got? Let's have a look. I've just seen one saying, Conor, you have a very shiny head. I know, this is the problem with having no hair on the top. I try and change the light. It's a nightmare. I know, don't worry. It's a problem all the time. Okay, let's have a look. So we got, let's have a look. Victor asking DCL to Wood for a -4. Oh, and Wood does look great this week, but DCL out, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think I'd do it. Barry, what are the odds of Alonso starting over Chilwell? One for you, Nacho.
I would probably, I wouldn't expect him to start just because there's so much riding on this game. I just think he'll go for Chilwell. I think Alonso's not worth the risk at all.
Nuclear Atoms. So will Nacho replace his character to Peter Crouch doppelganger next season? By that point, he'll have an identity crisis. He's always having an identity crisis, says Nacho.
I'm telling you, I honestly think I am like a weird mixture love child of all these people.
You are. You look like the guy from who does like the office stuff, the Stephen Merchant, the really tall guy as well.
Oh yeah, for people listening, I am like quite tall and lanky as well, so it doesn't help my appeal for a Crouch and Steve Merchant. That's an absolutely horrific insult.
Gavino, so many comments flowing in. It's great. Right, Gavino, Bruno to Mane locked in already. Go Forst and Alioski to Soufal or Kassir and Holding. Or just do one of them. Don't take a hit, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. I think Koufal's a nice pick.
Jerome, how does Prince feel about the Mendy to Melier move in the blank game week now? Well, Jerome, do you know what? I'm glad I did it though, because I got the points last week where he did well. So I'll take it. It's just a pain in the neck now.
Newcastle asks, are you guys doing any Euro fantasy content? Can't hibernate again. It's the summer. I don't think so.
I'm hibernating, unfortunately.
I quite enjoy a bit of a break, really. I apologise. But I don't think we'll get involved in that. We'll just come back maybe a bit earlier with some better videos for
definitely.
season.
I am DCL to Bamford for a hit. Oh, that's tricky. I don't know. I don't think so. Bamford rarely scores more than one. So the odds, I think, are against you. And then it says...
I think that's fair.
Play DCL or Holding.
Play DCL or Holding. I think that's super close. I would probably go Holding just because I'm quite bullish on the Arsenal defence this week.
One for me. Would you play Holding over Lingard this week?
Would you be Holding over Lingard? Oh, I probably wouldn't actually.
Yeah.
I don't know actually. That's super close. That is super close. It's one of those things you can get too far wrong.
All right.
Anyway, it's not for you, mate. It's for the people in the
thanks,
chat.
mate.
No, I'm kidding.
But well, I'm going without a goalkeeper this week thanks to Fabianski. Yeah, I know. A nightmare. Gavino, Ferran Torres or Nicola Pepe. Oh
wow, Pepe is the ultimate differential. Just a heads up, he's such a high FPL ceiling. I'd probably go Pepe just because I think he will start as opposed to Torres.
Okay, Barry saying Greenwood's a problem. Yeah, I mean it is, but I think if he plays, he'll do well. John.
Yeah, John's asked, I have triple Spurs, Bale, Son and Kane. Should I go with it?
Yeah.
I'd probably just roll with it this week. I think if you haven't got any Liverpool midfielders, I probably would try and shift one of those to maybe a Mane or a Salah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll probably just roll with it.
Yeah. TDM, who do I bench? Willock, Mount, Rafinha or Bamford? Oh,
I'd probably bench Mount of those.
Yeah. Victor, when was the last time Everton won a trophy? Oh,
great question, Victor.
It's lucky that you're just so nice and supporting and fantastic at the stream. It was 1995. I was 3 years old, so I can't really remember it, truth be told. Nacho, I'm not asking you the question. Don't worry. Greg, Greenwood, Shaw, will they play? Oh, I think Greenwood will play, but I don't think Shaw will. And Mara's...
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's fair. Aiden's asked, 240k, Millie leader is beating me by 13 points. Would you captain Willock? Millie Robert doesn't own him. I think if he doesn't own him, you owning him is enough a differential in itself. I think you're going even further, captain, and I'll probly go for something a bit different in your side.
Mr. Diop, really nice question. What lessons have you learnt this season?
So I would say I have learned from this season probably to be super patient in terms of my decision making. So I haven't jumped in. I think a lot of people have been burnt with transfers. With the COVID season, people have made early transfers and then things have happened out of their control and they regret making early moves. Something that I've definitely done, which has helped my rank, has definitely just been waiting for more information and making last minute transfers and not being so worried about price rises and falls.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know what? I have to be honest.
The good thing about you, Prince, is you've had many failures this season, so you've learned a lot.
The biggest one was getting you to join this show. So that's what I've learned. don't convince strange little West Country men in a pub to come and do a show with you. You know, that's got to be right at the top, I think. Okay, Gavino, any word on Christensen getting a start? Nacho?
I haven't seen anything. I think he'll stick with the same back three: Rudiger, Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta, or Reece James.
Michael says play Vidra or DCL. Oh, I think I play Vidra actually.
I think I'll play Vidra, but I'm just so I'm so unenthused by Vidra, so I would pick him, but only because of the fixture.
AD remembers the last time Everton won a trophy. Paul Rideout scored the winner. Great stuff, AD. Thank you. I love that. Okay. I think that is everyone's questions. I think that's the most questions we've ever done. Thank you, everyone. That's a really fantastic question.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
Nacho, this is it. This has been the last stream of the season. Do you know what? I have to say, we have absolutely loved doing the FPL fan show. You know, I know we had to, you know, move out the studio halfway through because of COVID, and we're so excited to go back to the studio and, you know, release amazing content. But thank you everyone for all the support you've given us to 3,500 subscribers, all the messages, Nacho, all your amazing work with the community as well. We've just loved it, haven't we, Nacho?
Yeah, no, it's been obviously like such a weird season for everybody, obviously playing the game, content creators alike. I think naturally we kind of created this channel being like a bit like, you know, 4K, stuff like that. So for those who have stuck around, obviously while we've changed it up, we are so appreciative to those who have done that, because we appreciate it's been a bit of a change. And like I said, we can't wait to actually just like go back to normality for us and deliver like even better content, really. So yeah, thanks for those who've been tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and you know, we're gonna miss interacting with you guys each week, and we'll try and get some streams. We'll get loads of content out early in the season. We'll work out whether we do some live streams, see if we can fit that in somewhere along the line, how we do it. I mean, we'd love to be able to do a live stream in 4K in the studio. That'd be great, but we'll get videos out anyway. And yeah, this is, you know, the FPL fan show. This is your guys' show, so this is all for you. And yeah, so many lovely comments in the chat, by the way. We're really going to miss seeing you guys too. John saying you're going to miss seeing us. AD, fantastic work. Nucleatom's going to miss the stream. John, TDM, why does Prince not do TikTok? I should do TikTok. I definitely should. And there's...
guys, honestly, let us know if you want Prince to be dancing in TikTok.
I can do it. I can do it. Victor, the amazing man, with a lovely, lovely super chat. He said, "Was a pleasure, guys, and hopefully we catch up at some point with some beers and many more years to come for Everton." Oh, we had to get it in there. No, Victor, thank you so much. You have supported the show so much, and we're so incredibly grateful. You know, any super chats you guys give, we put it back into the show and making it better for you guys. And you know, all your lovely comments, they really do mean a lot to us. It's worth doing these streams and taking the time to do it. We really do appreciate it. That show feels strange. I have to say goodbye, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it feels weird.
Go.
Obviously, I haven't actually seen you physically in a while, but yeah, obviously, what happens, guys, usually after this stream is then we don't talk to each other for a whole week. So it's quite nice, actually. We kind of just pretend we like each other for an hour.
Naturally, I'm just still glad your sister joined the stream. So maybe I'll keep you for.
Yeah, I'm calling her after this. What's going on?
I might keep you for another year. We'll see. But yeah, no, thank you guys for supporting us. It means the absolute world, and we've hoped we've helped you, and we've hoped you enjoyed it. Victor's just sent another super chat with the beers. Oh, we're better have some beers. I know. Too kind.
Really
Love.
Well, I will say as well, quickly, just before we close off, for those who have still questions to go, Twitter is the place to go for us for sure. We're going to be doing a lot of last minute content on there, and of course Instagram and TikTok as well. So yeah, be loads more information over the last 3 days just in case.
Yeah, and some lovely comments coming over. Michael with a lovely comment. Ajaxxj, thanks for the content. Kazee, Bye Brothers, Ali, thanks for all the advice, guys. This is, I made it to my highest finish round, the 92k mark. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's why we do it.
Yeah, that's why we do it. That's so well done, Gio. Well done for you guys for having a great season. If you haven't, don't worry. We'll be back next season. And that's it. Right, Nacho, we better say goodbye.
Yeah, no, this is quite emotional, but like I said, it's going to be, it's not, before we know it, we're going to be back doing the content obviously for next season and tearing our hair out about whether we should be bringing the Everton assets. So none of that next season.
That's it. You can't bring up a comment saying we're going to be tearing our hair out about Everton assets. The truth, I mean, Jesus Christ. He's going to be lucky. Right, so let everyone else know, auditions start for the next FPL fan show presenter in a few weeks. So if you'd all like to send an email, I'll put it out on the Twitter feed, all right? Nacho will be off. So
I'll just be on TikTok, guys. That'll be me.
No, good. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a fantastic final game week. Thank you again for all your support. We're going to miss you guys. We'll be on social and we'll be getting videos out for next season very soon. Stick with us. Thank you all. Nacho, giving them the final words.
Cheers, guys. No, thanks for sticking by us. And we will see you next season soon.
Well, have a great game week, guys. Have a great summer. We'll see you all very, very soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers.